If I started my marketing consulting business again today, this is exactly what I would do. Hi everyone, I'm Talita. I am a marketing automation consultant and course creator, and I built my HubSpot consulting business from the ground up by myself with zero investment back in 2019. In this video, I want to break down exactly how I did it, but more importantly, what I would do differently if I had to start all over again today. So if you're new here, a little bit of background. I come from a digital marketing background and I started working in the field in 2012, more or less. My first experiences after university were basically paid internships in different countries, and eventually I ended up building my life here in Europe, in Portugal to be more specific. Then COVID happened. My husband and I had just moved to Portugal, and at the time I was actively applying for jobs, but obviously during the pandemic, companies were not really hiring that much, right? So I suddenly found myself in a situation where I had no stable income and I needed to figure something out fast. At first, I kept applying for remote roles online, but it was really tough at the time, not only because companies weren't really hiring, but also because I was positioning myself as a marketing generalist. Over time, I started realizing that the best opportunities were going to people with a clear specialization. That's when I decided to position myself as a HubSpot expert. HubSpot is a very well-known CRM and marketing automation platform, and I already had experience with the platform in previous roles, so I thought, why not lean into that experience and position myself around this experience? And honestly, it worked. I started getting gig after gig, right? And that's how my HubSpot consulting business started. People always ask me how I got my first client, and really, there's no big secret there. Back then, I used Upwork a lot. At the time, you didn't really have to pay to apply for jobs like you do now with credits and all that stuff, bidding, right? And, of course, today the platform works differently, but there are still many freelance platforms out there that can help you land those first clients. But anyway, this video here is a little bit different. What I really want to talk about is what I would do differently if I had to build the business from scratch today. I want to look at the mistakes that I made, what worked, what was simply luck, and what I know now, and how I would approach things in a much smarter way, I guess. So here's exactly what I would do. I would start with demand first and then build my positioning. Okay, so back then, I positioned myself as a HubSpot expert because I already had experience with the platform, right? But I didn't really stop to study the market demand first. So I can say that I was kind of lucky. I simply knew from previous jobs that companies often struggled with HubSpot implementation, onboarding, setup, and I had seen that pain point firsthand. So I just added HubSpot expert to my Upwork profile and I went with it, right? And again, it worked for me at the time. But if I had to do this today and, if I had to start this whole process today, I would do it in the opposite order. I would first look at what the market is actively asking for and only then decide how to position myself around this need, right? Because imagine if HubSpot wasn't in demand in my market at the time, right? I probably wouldn't have landed those first gigs. So this is what I would do now. And here's my tip for you if you're getting started with this. Go on LinkedIn, right? Go on freelance platforms, go on job boards, search for terms like, if that's your case, marketing consultant, CRM consultant, automation specialist, or marketing expert, and then look for patterns. What tools keep showing up? What platforms are a company repeatedly asking for? What problems are they hiring people to solve? That's where your positioning should come from. So start with the demand and then reverse engineer your positioning around it. That way, you're building your brand around something that people are actually willing to pay for. I would spend much more time on personal branding. Okay, when I got my first HubSpot gigs, I was honestly just desperate to make money in the whole COVID and pandemic and so on. So I wasn't really thinking about building a portfolio visibility or building a personal brand online, right? I just wanted to work. And that was okay in the beginning. But looking back, I know for a fact that I could have landed right in the beginning higher paying clients much faster if I had spent more time building my brand early on. And when I say personal brand, I don't just mean a PDF portfolio or a slideshow of your past projects. I mean your online presence as a whole. At the time, I wasn't really posting about my expertise somehow. I wasn't really sharing what I knew on LinkedIn. I wasn't creating content. I wasn't building authority in public. And I just got the gigs and I got my hands dirty, right? That helped me survive, but I do think that I made client acquisition harder than it needed to be. Because look, when you build your personal brand, something shifts. Instead of always hunting for clients, clients start finding you. And that changed everything for me later. The beautiful thing is that personal branding can start super simple. Share what you know on LinkedIn. Post quick lessons. Talk about mistakes you've seen. Share beginner tips. It doesn't need to be super polished or fancy. Sometimes your phone and one useful idea are enough. And if I had understood that earlier, in terms of like how powerful this was, I would have started much sooner. Some of my best paying clients and longest relationships came through my own courses, which is basically me building my personal brand portfolio and digital product. So after my consulting gigs, I started creating HubSpot courses, right, for Udemy and Coursera and others. And there was a period where I completely stopped hunting for clients. So basically people would buy the course, start learning, and then realize that they would rather hire me to do the whole thing for them. So that's the magic of building your brand around sharing what you know. The moment people learn from you, they naturally start seeing you as the expert. Sometimes I hear professionals saying things like, I don't really feel ready to share because I'm not an expert yet, or whatever. And that mindset honestly doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry about that, but I have to be honest here because look, no matter where you are, you already know more than someone who's just one step behind you. And that's enough, okay? You don't need to be the best in the world to be helpful. You only need to be one step ahead of the person you want to help. Okay, I would rely much more on my network. When I was starting, I relied way too much on external opportunities, right? And I was obviously constantly hunting clients, sending proposals, applying on Upwork and reaching out on LinkedIn and kind of always looking outside my circle. And yes, it worked at the time, but what I underestimated was the power of my existing network. Your network already has trust built in. That changes everything, okay? Look, convincing a stranger to hire you means first building trust from zero. Convincing someone from your own network or someone referred by your network is a much shorter path. The trust is already there. And I'm almost sure that right now in your LinkedIn network, there are already people who could connect you to opportunities. Most people just never ask. Sometimes all it takes is a very simple message. Hey, I don't know, I'm currently open to consulting opportunities in XYZ. This is my area of expertise. If anyone comes to mind, I would love an introduction, blah, 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 something like that, right? That's it. Some people may ignore it, obviously. A couple of people might find you a little bit annoying, which it's honestly, who cares, right? It's fine. And one good reply can change everything for you. And this connects back to sharing what you know publicly, right? Because every time you post educational content, your network is reminded of what you do. And then their network sees your posts, right? Sees stuff that you publish, and then referrals happen. And it really becomes a snowball effect. I really wish I had leaned into this earlier instead of relying so heavily on strangers all the time. I would adapt my pricing strategy much faster. In the beginning, charging by the hour is completely normal, and that's how most consultants start. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with it, okay? But over time, I realized that the value that I was creating for clients had very little to do with the number of hours that I was spending, that I was working for the client, right? For example, when I help a company optimize their HubSpot account, I'm often saving them thousands of dollars in wasted time, bad processes, manual work, and missed opportunities. And that value is way bigger than a simply hourly fee. So naturally, the next step is moving into productized services. So using my example, instead of charging for 1 hour of HubSpot consulting, I started charging for outcomes, okay? So for example, a HubSpot audit or a setup package, a workflow optimization sprint, a monthly consulting retainer. These are priced around the value of the result, not the time it takes me. okay? That's much easier to scale because hourly work will always be limited by time, right? There are only so many hours in a week, obviously, right? And also you need to sleep and eat and enjoy your free time. But when you charge for a service package or a subscription, the business becomes much more scalable, even if you're one person only. Looking back, I stayed in hourly pricing way too long, and I think I should have productized faster, okay? I should have introduced subscription offers earlier, selling audits earlier. For example, inside M2 HubSpot Consulting, a HubSpot agency that I co-founded, we realized that some clients didn't need constant projects every month, but they wanted access to us whenever questions came up, right? And so we created this monthly HubSpot subscription, consulting subscription, and that became a really strong recurring revenue stream for us. A great way to figure out what to package is simply asking your clients, like, what do they need more often, right? The best offers usually come directly from repeated client requests. I would be more selective with clients much earlier. Okay, this one might sound a little bit crazy when you're just starting, because in the beginning, it feels like you need to say yes to everything, and that's normal. But over time, I realized not every client is a good client, and some clients, they drain your time. Some are too transactional. Some are not invested enough to become long-term relationships. And for me, one clear example was HubSpot free users. In the beginning, I worked with clients across every HubSpot tier. Okay, we have the free plan, the professional plan, enterprise, starter, and so on and so on. But over time, I realized that clients using the free version of HubSpot were rarely my ideal fit, honestly. And the main reason was simple. If they weren't even investing in HubSpot in the first place, they were usually less likely to invest consistently in expert support long term, right? Meanwhile, clients who were already paying for HubSpot anyway were much more likely to see the ROI in hiring a specialist to work on an ongoing basis. So basically, I started saying no to free tier clients, okay? And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made. It gave me more space for better long-term clients. And that's where the real value is. Because the best business model is not constantly replacing clients. It's keeping strong, well-paying long-term relationships while still having room for a few aligned new ones, okay? And those are also the clients who send the best referrals as well. So yes, in the beginning, you might not always be able to say no, and that's normal, but the faster you get selective, the faster you create space for the clients that actually move your business forward. Okay, that was it. Sorry for the long video, but I really hope this helps you on your own consulting journey. If I had known these things earlier, I honestly think that I would have grown faster, struggled less, and reached stability sooner. But that's life, isn't it? This is the beauty of the process. You learn, you adjust, and then you build something stronger. Okay, good luck in your journey, and thanks for watching.